This snowstorm is going to be nothing short of historic. What's going on, guys? Certified meteorologist Jonathan Kagas back with you. Look at all the winter storm warnings in pink. We're going to take a detailed look at this. Of course, we're going to break down the expected snowfall totals. We'll show you future radar to give you a timeline of when this event starts and when it ends. And then we're also going to break down why this is so historic. It's a word that I do not throw around loosely. You guys know that if you've been a fan of the show for quite some time now, we're going to look at some of the snowfall records, all-time snowfall records that could fall with this event in the South. Before we break all this down, if you're a fan of the weather and just want to hang out with us and talk about the weather, you've come to the right place. Hit that subscribe button and we will get ready to get a move on this. Look at all the pink. Again, winter storm warnings as far south, just outside of Brownsville. Look at this, all the way down into the valley, including Corpus Christi, Rockport, Port Lavaca, into Houston, Galveston. We're talking snow meeting the Gulf of Mexico. New Orleans, we could get rocked. It looks like the main event of this storm when it comes to snow will be in south central Louisiana. That also extends to the panhandle of Florida, up through Charleston, Hilton Head under a winter storm warning, and then including Gainesville, the University of Florida, just north of Marion County. So that is where we have the winter storm warnings in play. Want to show you now, again, the expected snowfall totals with this event. Nothing short of impressive, nothing short of historic. We're looking at the model forecast here. This is a high-resolution model forecast, expecting 4 to 8 inches of snow in New Orleans, and even higher amounts just off to the west in the purple stripe there. Again, moderate to heavy snow at times. Wait till you see the future radar, and you'll see the banding features that are going to be likely here. Houston, 2 to 4 inches of snow. That is going to threaten our all-time record. And then Pensacola, same deal for us. That could end up breaking the state snowfall record in Florida. And again, we'll take a look at that in just 1 second. But you see, again, heavy snow, about an inch or two into southern Georgia, 1 to 2 inches in Myrtle Beach. Might have some light snow again falling in Atlanta. This time around, though, the heaviest snow is going to be to the south of the Atlanta metro area, excuse me. But nonetheless, that is something you certainly don't see every day. Now, before we get into the actual future radar here, the future timeline here, I want to show you why this is going to be historic. The all-time state record for Florida in terms of snowfall came in Milton, Florida, just around the Pensacola area, back in 1954. That would break the all-time state record. We're talking about potential for that to happen. Pensacola, we could break our own record all-time, 1895. You have to go back to February 16th, 1895. Again, we could get more than that in Pensacola. Don't know that we get it in Mobile. Nonetheless, we might be close to that. Our record in Mobile, biggest snowstorm ever, came back in 1895 as well. 6 inches of snow fell. New Orleans, I think it's a slam dunk that we break this. 2.7 inches is the record. We might not just break it. We could obliterate it, shatter it, maybe double that and then some. Houston, Texas, our all-time record in the city is 3 inches. That came on Valentine's Day back in 1960. We are going to threaten that. Not as much of a slam dunk, I don't think, as New Orleans. Nonetheless, I think we are going to threaten that. And again, we could break that. I want to show you this. We showed you this last week. We were using the threshold when we still had a little bit more uncertainty for this winter storm as 1 inch greater than or equal to. We're up in the ante, of course, because it's locked in. We're locking it in that we are going to have a major and massive historic winter storm across the deep south, Gulf Coast, and into parts of the southeast mid-Atlantic. Now we're using the threshold. These are the probabilities now of greater than or equal to 3 inches of snow. Now, we talked about, again, the state record being 4 inches just around the Pensacola area. We could certainly break that for Florida, that is. Look at the percentages now as we would try to go over that in Pensacola. There's a 40% shot. 40% of the European ensemble members are going to favor more than 3 inches of snow in Pensacola. Panama City, about a 46% shot, and then greater than 50% chance for more than 3 inches of snow. And Tallahassee, Valdosta, inner southern Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. Look at the coastal areas, and we'll go back to Texas and Louisiana in just 1 second. But while we're on the east, I just wanted to show you guys, again, the probability of 3 inches or more. 46 members, or 46% of the 51 European ensemble members are favoring Greater than or equal to 3 inches of snow in Savannah. Same deal just about in Myrtle Beach and up into Jacksonville and coastal North Carolina. Absolutely bonkers, again, for these areas to be getting this amount of snow meeting up with the Atlantic Ocean. Again, we'll take a look at that setup in just 1 second. We'll also look at the temperatures. If you're still with me, by the way, and you like to learn a little bit about the weather and have this weather conversation, we'd love you to have you on board. Join the best weather community. I'm biased, of course, and we all are biased that have this weather conversation, but would love to have you guys on board. Hit that subscribe button for me. At the very least, if you're enjoying this content or learning a little bit of something, hit that thumbs up button. It really does help us out a lot. So we're going west now, and mentioned earlier when we looked at the actual snowfall totals that this would be the main event of the heavy snow, the main event of the main event, because everybody that's kind of included in that winter storm warning, we all know it. The South can't handle it, so it's going to be crippling for everybody, and that doesn't even include some of the icing and sleet that's going to be likely as well. So here we go. New Orleans, potential for greater than or equal to 3 inches of snow. Mentioned before that it's kind of a slam dunk that we break our all-time record for New Orleans. That was 2.7 inches. Again, you saw the forecast there, we could go 4 to 8 inches. Nearly 100% New Iberia, just to the west of New Orleans, right around the Baton Rouge area. 80 to 90% chance that we get over 300. 300 inches would be crazy. 3 inches of snow in Galveston, Houston area. The percentage, again, to at least tie the record for biggest snowstorm in history. And these records go back to the late 1800s. We're talking about nearly a 60% shot. It's going to be wild. Again, this is crazy, crazy stuff. Again, those were the probabilities. Here we go with the storm itself. Now, this is one of the reasons why it's so impactful. Of course, in order to get snow in the South, we talked about this at length last week. The cold air already needs to be in place because the role of a low pressure system is to transport warmer air north from the South and colder air south from the north. So you need to have that cold Arctic air in place. Well, storm number one that injected that Arctic air, that came through and we already have the cold air in place. So this is going to be early in the morning, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We have the storm taking shape. You see that swirl right there. There's our area of low pressure. It's already throwing some light to moderate snow back toward Houston a little bit. And then the main event gets going again. Our center of low pressure. And this is the other thing you need because you can't be too close to that area of low pressure, especially when colder air isn't around. We are way displaced from that. Look at this. Look how heavy this is. Again, the scale is on top. The darker the blue, the heavier the snow. From Houston, Galveston, Port Lavaca, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, super, super heavy snow. 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and in the afternoon, spreading through. Those arrows on your screen represents the wind direction. Again, that is that injection of Arctic air that continues to supply the cold air we need for snow. Pink, by the way, is that mix of some freezing rain and sleet. So let's take this out further now into Florida. Look how heavy that snow is. That is 11 o'clock. We have it snowing in the Gulf of Mexico. That is extremely hard to do, because the Gulf is actually, it's warm. I mean, relatively speaking anyway, don't want to go swimming in it, but it's warmer than what we'd see on land, of course. New Orleans, Pensacola, still getting it. Tuesday night, 11 o'clock, it's working through the Panhandle. We have some light snow in western North Carolina, through the mountains of Georgia into the Atlanta metro area. The heaviest, as mentioned before, is going to stay south of the Atlanta metro area. We'll take this further in time. Look at the heavy stuff now from Pensacola into Tallahassee. We start to get a little more pink involved. That is going to be that freezing rain to sleet. You see that mix in the purple there from coastal Carolinas all the way through Jacksonville. Very heavy rain into the Florida peninsula. While it's not going to be cold enough for snow in Tampa and Orlando, it is going to be an ugly, super, super cold rain on Wednesday morning when you're driving to work. So just a heads up for that. Look at this. 10 o'clock in the morning, we could have sleet, some freezing rain as far south as Gainesville, maybe into Ocala, Florida, certainly around Jacksonville. And then the event is over for everybody by the time we get into the latter stages of Wednesday. Just incredible, again, that this is going to be working its way through parts of the deep south. We told you about this last week, and we had great certainty. The reason is because while the models obviously shift back and forth from the heaviest snow, the one thing you need is the pattern. And with that fresh injection of Arctic air, that kind of took the wild card off the table because the cold air was there. In the South, always remember, you need to have the cold air in place first. And this is one of those kind of rare occasions that we do have moisture developing behind the injection of that Arctic air. So just some crazy stuff. And speaking of that, dangerously cold from this blast of Arctic air, really from Siberia. We showed you that last week as well, that we had kind of had that cross-polar flow, that this air mass originated from Siberia. It spilled over the poles and then down into the United States. This would be even colder, mind you, if we had the Great Lakes frozen, because the air mass modifies, of course, as it moves south. Still plenty cold, 2 degrees below zero on Tuesday, January 21st, tomorrow morning, if you're watching this on January 20th. 13 below in the Twin Cities, 16 degrees below zero in Fargo, 20 below in International Falls. Those, again, that's the model forecast for the upper Midwest. Wind chills, forget about it. We're talking way below that. Some places, again, in interior Minnesota could be talking 40 degrees below zero with that involved as well. Really rare, especially these days, to get it to fall below zero in the Pittsburgh area. The forecast here from the model is about 1 degree below zero. The wind chill is way below that, 6 degrees below zero in Syracuse. Single digits and teens from Philly to New York City to Boston, Portland, Roanoke, Virginia, Detroit, 6 above. It is going to be brutally cold for the next couple of days in Detroit. Even down to Orlando, starting things off on Wednesday morning in the central Florida area, 30s and 40s. I mean, look at Pensacola, 20 degrees. And I would not be surprised, especially because now we have snow on the ground. Side note, if there's the most efficient way to cool the atmosphere is for skies to be clear, the wind to be calm, and then to have that fresh blanket of a few inches of snow on the ground that acts like a refrigerator. So we could be talking about teens in Pensacola. I mean, this is a brutally cold air mass for the Deep South. Just wild stuff. And then eventually, as we get in towards the end of this work week, the Arctic air loosens its grip just a little bit. It's still going to be plenty cold, though. You see, though, by Thursday morning, January 23rd, it's a little bit more tolerable. We don't have any tick marks indicating the negative or below zero temperatures in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes area. So that's going to feel like a heat wave by the time we get there, by the time we get to Thursday, after the brutally cold wind chills and actual air temperatures that we have coming for us. All righty, guys. We'll keep you posted again, any changes. And again, there hasn't really been much change from when we talked again last week with our videos leading up to it. The forecast is right on. We're locked in at this point. We'll keep you posted on on how this event begins and how this unfolds and how this starts and ends. And just a wild ride here. Thanks so much for being here with us, talking weather with us. If you found this helpful, interesting, and just want to nerd out, we would love to have you on board. Please hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends. I would love to know how much snow you get or what you're seeing right now, what the temperature is outside. Post that in the comments, and we'll catch you next time.